this is part 2 of what you need to know about the TechNation UK Global Talent Visa. I'm enjoying this rare moment of sunshine 5 minutes after it was raining. And yes, the things I'm going to tell you about today are the difference between the 2 tiers of the visa and the difference between the mandatory and optional criteria for the visa, which you should understand to decide if you think you have a good shot. So the difference between the 2 tiers: exceptional talent is the higher tier. Mostly it's for people who have had over 5 years of experience in their field. Or if you don't qualify for that, if you have under 5 years of experience, you could qualify for the exceptional promise version. But exceptional talent is what you should shoot for. You can apply for that, and if they say no to that, they could still give you exceptional promise. I'm grateful to have gotten the exceptional talent, and the great thing about that is that it shortens your time to permanent residency to just 3 years instead of 5. So that's great. I am a permanent resident now. Then the difference between the optional and mandatory criteria. You have to fulfill the 1 mandatory criteria and 2 of the 4 optional criteria. Mandatory criteria is about being recognized as a leader in your industry. And there's different ways you can prove that. You can show your high salary, but it's not enough to just show that. You can show if you were the leader on a team, like a team lead or the founder of a team or the founder of a company. That's great. You can also show your external recognition of expertise and leadership in your field. So for example, I served as an expert reviewer as a volunteer on some ethics of AI tracks for different ML conferences, so I put that proof there. Then the mandatory criteria, you have to fulfill 2 of the 4. I'll speed through all 4. Number 1 is innovation. I went for that one as one of mine, that you've worked on something innovative and cutting edge. 2 is, again, more about the external recognition. If you've done a lot of open source contributions, or if you've done a ton of mentorship through an official mentorship scheme. Then number 3 was my second one. It's all about business or product impact. So this is less about innovation. It doesn't have to be especially innovative, but working on something that had a business impact for your company, or if you started a company that made money. And for this one, I focused on a different team that I had worked on that was less innovative than the one I focused on for the innovation criteria. Then the last criteria that's optional that you could go for is published research, if you've had a bunch of published research in your field. So those are the 4 optional, and again, you have to do the 1 mandatory and then 2 of the 4 optional. Before you go and hire a lawyer or a consultant or anything, you should go read the descriptions of these criteria on the TechNation website, decide which ones you think you can go for and would qualify for. That'll save you a lot of time. Otherwise, the lawyer or consultant will be paying them to explain to you what you could just read on the website. And yeah, in future videos, I'm going to talk more about my thoughts on should you hire a lawyer or a consultant or someone else. I hired a very specific type of person that actually worked out really well. I'll tell you about that. I'll also talk about what specifically I used for the evidence for my different criteria and my suggestions for how to present the evidence, and I'll also touch on the other things like the personal statement, the letters of recognition, recommendation. So yeah, keep following along for more. My goal here is to help people to get this visa if they are worried about depending on their employer for sponsorship in the UK, or help Americans or other people, but I'm American, who want to, move to the UK without having to have a job lined up ahead of time.